I'm Colleen with Downtown Desert Yoga, and my interest is making yoga accessible for more people. Our philosophy here at DDY is referred to as optimal movement. What does that mean for you? Well, we'd like to find a way to get you to move and breathe with ease. After all, breath is the foundation of our yoga practice. Join us for our Yoga Foundation series. If you would, be sure to like and subscribe our channel. And if you have any other questions or want more information, visit downtowndesertyoga.com. We're gonna get started with a little spine warming. So I'm gonna set myself up with some blocks here to bring the floor up because I have short arms, long torso. That's why they're really helpful for me. So placing a hand down on the floor next to your hip, we're just gonna take a nice side stretch over one direction. If you want, you can take your arm into it, or you can keep your hand right there at your shoulder, and then take your gaze anywhere that feels good on your neck. And take a few breaths. As you're ready, come on up, switch sides. So that nice stretch in between the ribs, in between the bottom rib and the top of the hip. See if you can focus on your breath as you're practicing. Really important in yoga. As I come back to center, I'm going to keep both arms overhead to take some nice twists in my spine. Over one direction, taking your gaze anywhere that feels good on your neck. Try to keep your shoulders relaxed. I can never be reminded enough to keep breathing. I'm going to bring the arms back overhead and then twist the opposite direction. Right, so our body breathes for us all day, every day without us even having to think twice about it. But breathing with intention just changes everything. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, arms down. You stay right where you're at. I'm going to turn to the side so that you can see my profile and see what that front to back movement looks like. So with hands here on my hips, it might even feel good to grab some blocks, tuck them underneath your knees. You don't have to have very tight crisscross in your legs. And on your next inhale, you're going to start to tilt the pelvis forward, rock forward a little bit, chin lifts, gaze up. Exhale, a little weight into your hands as you rock the weight back, round between your shoulders, chin to chest. Inhale, come forward. Exhale, rock it back. So this matching of breath to movement really gives me the opportunity to just get out of my head, start to quiet that critical mind. I'm going to take one more cycle here. And from here, I'm going to show you how you can do a similar movement with your spine, but from a horizontal position. So as I come into my tabletop, I'm going to build a really nice solid foundation with my hands to support the structure of my arms, and then I'm going to think about knees being underneath my hips, so sometimes it kind of takes me a while to get situated here. And then think about where your head is in space. Is it heavy? Are you looking forward? Where would you need to place your gaze so that your neck is neutral? And we'll do that same movement. Inhale, belly drops. Chin lifts a little bit. Exhale, reverse it. Inhale, belly drops. Gaze forward or up. Exhale, round between the shoulders. Nice heavy head. So just moving back and forth in between those two spaces with your breath, trying to keep your arms nice and stable. If you lock out your elbows like I do, maybe you want to have just a little tiny micro bend. Finding your way back into a neutral position. From here, I'm going to come into a child's pose. So child's pose may not be comfortable for everybody. So you may grab a prop so that you have something to rest your booty on if it doesn't want to come all the way down. Or if your head doesn't come all the way down to the floor, you could place something out in front of you to rest on. As you're ready, finding your way back up into your table, same thing, build your foundation with your hands. Get situated a little bit here, nice neutral spine, curl your toes under. And the idea is to try to keep your spine nice and neutral. So it does not matter how much bend in the knees you have. Let's let go of that idea. The heels don't have to be anywhere close to the floor. What I'm looking for is a neutral spine as I lift my hips, glide my chest towards my knees. Let's do that again. Come down. So we're just lifting the bottom up towards the ceiling, trying to keep our spine nice and neutral, and chest is drawing towards the knees, right? Just that movement. And then you could walk your dog, bicycle at the knees, pedal the heels. You might even shake out your head a little bit. Find that place that feels good to you. If it means that you have a really deep bend in the knees, that's absolutely fine. For some of you, it might feel good to start to straighten and drop the heels a little bit. There's no one way to do it. Find that place where you can breathe with ease. And by the way, if you're not comfortable in down dog, come right back to your table. Keep breathing. If you're in down dog, take a couple more breaths. To come into a forward fold, I'm going to start to walk my feet forward. And because of my proportions, it's not easy for me to get my feet all the way in between my hands, so I'm still going to pick up the hands and frame up the feet for my forward fold. As you're ready, placing attention in the weight of the feet. On your next inhale, you're going to come all the way up. And if it's helpful, you can sweep the arms up and around, coming all the way up. Find your way into mountain pose. So I want you to think about building your mountain, that foundation in the feet from the floor all the way through the body. So the first thing I'm going to do is pick up my toes and wiggle them around a little bit. And then I'm going to think about stacking my knees over my ankles. And then my hips right over my knees. Maybe roll out the shoulders a little bit. Think about where the center line of your ear is. Try to stack it over your shoulder. Just allowing the arms to hang heavy. Take a few breaths here. On your next inhale, we're going to float the arms overhead. As you exhale, bring them down by your side. So a few more of these, just moving breath to movement. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, bring them down. One more time. Inhale, bring them up. Exhale, down. I'm going to take my hands to my hips. You don't have to do this, but I just like to kind of stabilize here in my body, and I'm going to take one leg straight back behind me. So as you bring that foot back behind, find your stability. If you want to do something that's fairly active, you're going to lift this heel away from the floor. If you prefer a little more stability, you're going to rotate that leg and bring the heel down. Either way, arms can be overhead, they can be in cactus, they can be in prayer, they can even be here on your hips. What do you want to do with your arms as you take the next 3 breaths? So if you've pivoted the heel to the mat, I'm gonna have you bring that leg back to neutral as you lift the heel. And that's just gonna give us a pivot point so that we can open up into our warrior two. As you open up the hips, knee stays over ankle, back leg is nice and straight, my shoulders are over my hips, and then my arms simply come right out from my shoulders. Taking a few breaths there. To reverse your warrior, flip your front palm over. You might take this hand in the back to your hip, and then you're gonna reach that hand up to the ceiling. Take your gaze anywhere that feels good. It could be up, it could be down, it could be somewhere in between. If that front leg is talking to you too much, you can simply start to straighten it a little or all the way. I'm gonna come back into my warrior two. Then I'm gonna take my hands to my hips, and we're simply gonna pivot that front leg so that both toes facing the long edge of my mat, bringing my body into a neutral position. And then I'm gonna pivot a little bit further so that I come back into that warrior position, warrior two, facing the opposite direction. So again, shoulders and hips are aligned, arms out from the shoulders. Take a pause there and breathe. Think about the foundation that you've created in your feet. If something doesn't feel right, reposition. It's never a freeze frame. Now to reverse it, I'm gonna flip other hand up. Take this back hand to my hip for a little stability, reach it up. Little side stretch, just like we did when we were seated. Feeling it right here in the ribs, in between the bottom rib and the top of the hip. For 3, 2, 1. Right back into warrior two. This is where it gets a little tricky. We're gonna pivot just enough on this back foot so that I'm gonna end up facing the back of my mat in either a crescent with heel lifted, arms out, or simply pivot that heel down as you rotate the leg a little bit for warrior one. Your choice. Take a few breaths wherever you landed. To come out of this, I'm going to bring my hands down, place them on my hips, straighten that front leg, pivot, 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 heel toe the feet together. So I'm right back here in my mountain pose. And that's it for our little warrior flow. Thank you for joining us for this video. Please like and subscribe to our channel, and be sure and check out our other videos that we have about how yoga can benefit you. Wear your mask, wash your hands, stay safe.